CyberTech Worlds Clash, a fanfiction by Outlaw Realms. Chapter 2. The Cybertronic Night. Screams of fear, panic, and pain ran rampant throughout the small town as many people were murdered and tortured. Men wearing black robes and white skeletal masks laughed manically with joy as they attacked their prey. Voldemort was a tall man with long bony fingers and snake-like face with slits for nostrils and blood-red eyes. He watched on in amusement. The Muggles would not stand a chance. It was a pity they could not fight back, and it was a little boring, but still held his interest. He wondered how long it would take the Order or Ministry to find out and arrive, not that it mattered, and the idiots never arrived on time anyway. He sometimes wondered why the Order of the Phoenix bothered to even try, as they were useless, and sometimes he got the impression they didn't really care much about the Muggles. However, from the way they didn't fight as hard as they could, it was a wonder the fools weren't all dead yet. If they had any sense of self-preservation at all, they would tell the crazy old fool leader of theirs to fuck off, and go it alone. They would be safer that way. Voldemort wasn't stupid or blind like those who foolishly followed the old light wizard around so lovingly. He knew that the old fool was a deranged wacko, even more so than he, and forced morons to do things they wouldn't have done under normal circumstances or for anyone else. People tended to have better self-preservation instincts than that, but they had so much faith. Though, even Voldemort could see that waning. However, for now at least, when the great Albus Dumbledore said jump, they tended to ask, how high? The Dark Lord Voldemort had to wonder at some of the things the old man came out with, such as fiercely hiding the girl even though she was no threat, and quite honestly, he couldn't be bothered to kidnap her. He even knew for a fact that the old man didn't allow anyone to teach her anything useful, so if the prophecy was correct about her, then who cared when her power was being neglected because of the fool? However, Voldemort's Death Nibbler spies in Hogwarts, since the girl was being forced to stay there during the school year, said she was quite good at practical magic, but that wasn't what brought a bemused smile to his lips. It was the fact that it was becoming blatantly obvious that the girl was becoming more and more rebellious, and had started questioning the old man's motives. Even with her obedient parents, it seemed she was very headstrong. Maybe Voldemort should somehow get her the message about her missing sibling to stir things up. She had been caught by the old man, most likely spying on her, learning spells of a, to the light, questionable nature, though to Voldemort they were positively mundane. The old man had then forbidden her from learning anything without his permission, which caused a huge fight where she told him what she thought and none of it was good, which got her grounded. The old man didn't have a clue. It was only a matter of time before she snapped and ran away. Though everyone could get lucky and she could snap and kill the old bastard. It would certainly do him, and the world, a favor. Voldemort might even let her, and her closest friends leave the country as payment, as he did have some honor and could respect the girl for killing the fool. Voldemort had killed quite a few purists for their lack of honor and abusing their own blood. He didn't want divs like that in his forces. Voldemort was suddenly brought out of his musing by a revving engine of some kind. Frowning, he looked around though saw nothing. His frown deepened as he looked up, almost gasping in surprise, and he had only thought that the old man starting to kill off his Death Eaters would surprise him. He saw some kind of silver motorcycle, though its wheels looked split to the sides and spinning fast. He could not see the rider clearly, but it was a little worrying. Voldemort was worried slightly for only one fact. He could not sense any magic at work, which meant this thing did not use magic, which meant it was Muggle. Though, he loathed to admit it, but even Voldemort knew that the Muggles weren't weak, and he knew that if they ever realized what was going on that they would start firing, and not even the old man could persuade them to see reason, and to work for the greater good. In other words, they could have their hands full, and the Muggles wouldn't be pushovers. Voldemort didn't like to count out possibilities like the old man. He liked to put things in perspective. He knew neither the old man, Order of the Phoenix, nor the Ministry believed that the Muggles could really become a threat. It didn't mean was afraid of the Muggles, but it did mean he would be cautious, and keep attacks to the minimum for now, just enough to appease his more ruthless and stupid racist Death Eaters without giving too much away that the Muggles may start growing suspicious. If Voldemort had his way, he wouldn't bother with the Muggles at all, as in the greater scheme of things it served him and his forces no purpose. However, he had to lead these fools to accomplish his eventual control of the Ministry, and to do that he had to give a little to gain a lot. The old man and the likes may think he just controlled them through fear, but nothing was that simple. After all, he was just one man, though he loathed to admit it, even he had his limits. The wheels on the bike folded in as it neared the ground and sealed seamlessly before crashing down and skidding to a stop. The bike looked quite a bit larger than Voldemort had seen before, at least 0.5 times larger. As the rider stepped off, Voldemort's eyes widened in wonder and apprehension. A man wearing metallic matte armor soon stood before him. Across his stomach 7 dark red plates slanted in each direction like a V over his abs, and on his right arm a dark red curved blade poking out of the thick metallic red sleeve around his arm with the tip just above his armored glove. His left arm had some kind of small dark red shield on his forearm on a hinge at his elbow leading up just past his shoulder, though it contained black marking in the shape of elongated ovals. His armor was mostly dark silver-gray except around the top of his abs, shield, right arm, and boots, which were a matte crimson. His helmet was almost dragon-like with sectioned armor around his neck for free movement. There was no visor in the traditional sense but a curved section of black metal, and around the matte black color of the eye shield, it contained a crimson demon-like image going round and up the sides over the flat metal horns on the side. Around the armor's waist was a thick crimson belt with twin flat-barreled guns pointing down to his shins. The skirt also had some markings going down their length in black with an ominous glow. Voldemort started and took one cautious step back as he noticed everything had gone exceptionally quiet and took a quick glance around. The weird armored man, Voldemort could certainly tell he was male by the flat chest plates, had garnished everyone's attention. Even the Muggles had stopped trying to escape. Then a collective gasp escaped everyone's lips as the bike changed at speed, clicking and re-shifting on metal with zoom and swish-like noises as it rose on 2 strong and powerful matte silver legs with a similar look to the armored man in color, though its visor had no shape to it and it, like the armor, had no discernible way of seeing. To the victims watching, it was like something out of a science fiction movie coming to meet something out of a fantasy movie. The mecha's head moved from side to side, scanning the crowd, at about 9 feet tall. Its crimson-red eyebrows narrowed as its eyes rested on the deformed human. It created some kind of whirling noise like its voice was another language entirely out of human understanding. On the armored man's back, flat and long to his body in crimson, was what looked like 2 engines of some kind with black markings along them, but they seemed inactive at that moment. Who are you?" the snake-faced freak demanded, suddenly gaining control of himself. "The question really is," began the armored man with a metallic-sounding distorted voice. "Who are you, and how fast can you die? But I suppose I'll be the polite one and answer. I am the Cyber Knight. I am justice." The snake-faced man sneered as if disinterested, but he was a little curious. "And I am Lord Voldemort, and I shall teach you Muggles all how superior we wizards truly are." Oh, and how can you do that when soon you'll be a smear beneath my boots, Magic Man? Asked the Cyber Knight coldly. We'll see about that, Voldemort laughed darkly. He turned to his minions. You lot carry on and I'll take care of this muggle, he ordered before turning back. His minions laughed. One minion was about to kill two little children that held each other on the floor fearfully. However, the engines on the robot's back moved and activated with a red light energy, and its right arm moved up with some kind of black box popping up with two round barrels, and in a crackling sound two red bolts of energy shot out, slamming into the robed human's chest, sending him flying back with steam rising from the bloody wound as he dropped dead. The machine moved with speed past Voldemort, near flying past, using the engines for more speed. Its powerful feet were crunching the ground with its strength and weight. It clamped down its two strong hands around two more minions' heads, crushing their skulls before letting them drop, dead to the ground. The machine then turned from the gawking minions it had not yet disposed of and looked at the scared children, and pointed for them to hide. They didn't need telling twice. Nodding, they ran as the robot turned back to its prey. Suddenly the scared minions started bombarding the machine with all manners of forceful spells. It had to dig its powerful feet into the ground as it slid back a little. However, its armor took every hit with ease, but it was the odd blue glow coming from what were black markings on its chest that was worrisome, because of the odd energy shield that lit up transparent blue when spells hit. As some of the spells hit the shield, they just veered off course, harmlessly hitting walls, grass or cars, but the machine stayed standing, impervious. To the wizards it was a terrifying sight to see a muggle weapon so capable of taking their spells, and to the Cyber Knight he made a mental note to get Wonderland to look into improving on his distortion field technology, as it seemed quite powerful as a defense against magic. Suddenly the machine shot up into the sky, and over the spells, crushing down on one minion, killing him instantly, and grabbed another's throat, ripping his head clean off, then blasted a third. All the while, the minions screamed in panic, firing uselessly on the mechanical enemy, wishing they stayed at home this night, some even trying to run away while the muggle weapon mercilessly picked them off. Voldemort looked back from the metal thing slaughtering his Death Eaters to the armored man, a look of horror on his face. "You'll pay for this," he screeched, raising his wand. "Avada Kedavra," he roared, enraged as a green beam blasted out of his wand. The Cyber Knight just moved his left forearm in the way, and the black markings flashed into a glowing aqua blue, and the elongated sections popped out, the edges glowing that blue. The curse hit a blue field and veered off, smacking into the ground by his feet, but he had to admit silently that that curse had to be very powerful, as it made his arm a little numb. However, the look on Voldemort's face was priceless as his eyes widened in utter horror. "No, no, impossible," he muttered to himself, but with his tech the Cyber Knight could hear him clearly. The killing curse is supposed to be unstoppable. Only that bitch has ever stopped it, and that was with magic. No, you. Ha! What's the matter, Magic Man? The knight asked coolly. Your unstoppable curse doesn't seem quite so unstoppable anymore. Maybe I should just slice and dice. Justice! The Cyber Knight yelled the last word as he punched his right fist forward, and a serpent-like blade shot out on silver and red sectioned metal, with black markings that started glowing blue, which Voldemort could guess meant more trouble. His eyes widened in shock and fear as he had never before been so defeated, and it seemed stupid to test the waters right now as he did not have any upper hand here. Voldemort could only glare as the serpent blade shot towards him before disappearing with a soft pop. The blade smashed into the ground where Voldemort once stood, creating a shockwave of force and a small crater, before the knight gave a soft tug and it retracted back into the armor. The Cyber Knight gave a growl of annoyance as he looked over to see his mecha stopped its fighting when the remaining minions disappeared, running for their lives. Harry realized he would have to see whether he could recalibrate the distortion field to hopefully be able to prevent the cowards from teleporting away next time. "Siren," he called to the mech. "Let's go." The mecha nodded as she looked to him walking over at a leisurely pace as her eyes continued scanning for any more potential threats. The people were staring in awe, with looks of gratitude. He would have to hope that this business with these magical fools did not get out of hand. Nobody needed or wanted another war, and he would rather his company take care of it without the normal people, super religious nutters, or idiots, going off on some crap about ungodliness and whatever else they came up with. He wasn't surprised as his sensors suddenly detected something. 24 people just appeared out of nowhere, so he turned around with narrowed eyes. Sure, he would let them modify these people's memories. Heck, he was certain most would prefer not to remember, but it didn't mean he liked the idea. They were certainly mage, as they all carried the small thin sticks, wands. Their sticks were pointing at Harry and Siren, so he kept his shield active as most of them looked shaky and about to fire at any moment. Harry scanned through the crowd and looked into their eyes. A lot of them had a defeated look in their eyes, while some he noticed staring in admiration at some white-haired bearded stereotypical wizard, who looked unfazed and as if he had everything under control. In other words, delusional, wearing purple robes with gold and silver stars and moons. However, what Harry liked was seeing the few with defiance in their eyes, not those that seemed to worship the Merlin wannabe. Though they all had wands trained on Harry, as their eyes took in the sight of death that he brought behind him. Maybe Harry should have captured them all. Though, he had no place to imprison them, and he sure as hell would rather kill them than give them to these losers just for them to escape justice for some bullshit reason, and then end up back on the streets to re-offend. After all, from his point of view they were terrorists. It was certainly a mess, and Harry could tell the innocent civilians behind him were scared, and already hiding, but seemed unable to stop watching even as they hid. Siren moved cautiously up beside Harry, and some of the mage nervously fidgeted, and took small steps back as the machine looked the mage over with no expression, as she didn't have a face like a normal organic creature did. Harry wondered mildly what these people might try, as it was a certainty that they didn't want him knowing about this silly infighting these people had going on, but they could do nothing. If they tried to stop him, they would become his enemy, also because as far as he was concerned, he would do everything in his power to protect innocent people from this menace to society. It took a few more moments before the old man took one step forward. He didn't look very pleased, and in fact looked quite pissed at the Cyber Knight. Though, he had this awful twinkle to his bright blue eyes that made Harry want to smack him. However, after a moment, the Cyber Knight's sensors picked up something surprising. It was a very mild psychic wave, almost unnoticeable, but it was certainly there, and coming from the old man. Though, it was useless as Harry's armor had inbuilt defenses against psychic attack on the mind, as it was originally designed to fight against supervillains. After all, with all the mutants and metahumans, not that he had anything against them, but there were quite a few that did turn to crime, and therefore the need for weapons to stop them arose, as superheroes weren't nearly as common. Though, Harry made sure to keep out of S.H.I.E.L.D's way, as Stark had enough trouble with them douches trying to and, in some cases, stealing his technology. "That won't work on me, old man." Harry spoke in annoyance, as this old man seemed not much better than the terrorists. The old man stopped trying with a look of surprise before his anger returned. "You should learn some manners and restraint, old man," It isn't very nice or polite to attempt to look inside someone's mind without their permission. He's Albus Dumbledore, he doesn't have to listen to you, some man with messy black hair and hazel eyes interrupted. You're just a murdering muggle. I am the Cyber Knight, Justice, was his fierce reply. And these are my people, and I shall defend them how I want to. You may enjoy allowing the dirty old man to watch you screwing, whoever, but I and others do not. Shut up, you filthy murderer, yelled out a ginger-haired young man whose face seemed to yell smack me, and the knight was tempted to, though while wearing his armor he would certainly put him in a coma at the very least. He's the great Albus Dumbledore, the greatest wizard of our age, he finished proudly. The knight, however, just laughed, his modulated voice sounding creepier than Voldemort. Yeah, well, I bet mage from other countries might disagree with you, not that I care, he replied nonchalant, and enjoyed how angry it made the ginger guy. If he could provoke, no, maybe he should just let it slide. Though he did have this strange feeling he would end up fighting these fools eventually. Though, it may be best to give them a chance, but if they squander it, he'll take them down. They could only hope he would have the means to keep them imprisoned by then. The ginger went to seemingly attack, and the Cyber Knight moved to defend when the old man put his hand up, stopping the ginger, and finally spoke. My name is Albus Dumbledore, leader of the Order of the Phoenix, he said calmly, calmer than Harry would have expected. You will desist in interfering in what does not concern you. You're lucky, as we shall let you go this once, but we will not let you bite me, the knight interrupted angrily. You fools couldn't deal with them while I tore them apart. These are my people, so that makes it my business, and I shall do all in my power to protect my people. You should think yourselves lucky that I'm not S.H.I.E.L.D., or you wouldn't get a warning to stay out of my way. I would have just attacked. Wait! Dumbledore cried out, but startled as Siren transformed back into her bike mode before regaining his bravo. Was that a threat? He demanded angrily. Nope, that was a promise, he replied nonchalant as he climbed on his bike and the engine swished on. I don't care about you one way or the other, to be honest, but I will put a stop to this. I will not put up with you fucks coming along all high and mighty saying that it's okay for your fucking kind to terrorize and murder my people, but not okay for me to use deadly force in retaliation. I will put a stop to this mindlessness whether you like it or not. And with those parting words, the Cyber Knight revved his engine, getting a soft humming whirling sound before spinning round with the back wheel spinning, before shooting forward leaving a red trail of light, before the bike transformed again, and shot into the air. To be continued. Thank you very much for listening. I thought I would try something new to me. That was when I got the amazing idea to turn my fanfiction into audiobooks, and then I tried that, and realized I wasn't very good at it, so this is what I came up with. So, this was chapter 2, so the story is well on its way. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Please subscribe, leave a comment, and hit that thumbs up button, and you'll be hearing from me on the next chapter. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Outlaw Realms. Till next time.